What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Mostly Occasionally Show. Today we have a sweet episode with G-Eazy, aka Gerald, rapper, musician, just an incredible artist all around, and someone who I feel like really defines millennial energy from the early to mid 2010s and onward. He has a new project coming out called Helium. It's all about love, loss, life, and we had a tremendous conversation about his evolution as an artist. We talked about his move to New York and the creative energy that he gets from the city versus the way he kind of existed in Los Angeles in the music industry pressure cooker out here. Then we also had some great conversations about kind of how things have evolved over the years. You know, it's crazy to think about Tumblr Girls, which was just such an anthem at the time, but also from this very different era of culture and the internet. So G-Eazy's still at it, super stoked on this project that he has coming out, Helium, and it was awesome to talk to him about it. So thank you so much for listening. Let's get into the conversation. Thanks so much, Cheryl, for taking the time to chat with us at Bro Bible. Really appreciate it, man. How you doing after being back from Australia and everything?
Yeah, it's like the first time touring in 6 years, and like a huge part of me was like, oh, this is what I do. I'd toured for like 8 or 9 years straight. I'd lived on the road. It was my essence, my purpose, my like sense of self. It's what I do. And then like the gap between 2019 and 2025.
That's a
in that
gap.
Time warp. And then going back into it was like, oh fuck, I forgot. No, this is what I do. I don't just hang out.
You have an actual job. Like
Yeah.
there's a place and time you have to be somewhere to do something.
Discipline, like real, like, I mean, it's fucking tough work, but also the relationship with, the audience, the fans, the people on the other side. And it'd been so long since I've seen them, and being able to get back on those stages and see that they're still there was one of the biggest, most rewarding feelings.
Yeah. That's what had anything changed in, I mean, 5 years is a long, or gosh, 6 years is a really five-ish. Yeah. That's a long time though.
COVID ate three of them. Figuring my life out ate one of them. A few other things ate one or two of them.
Yeah. Do you feel like how do you feel like audiences are now though? Like,
Yeah, it's like people have, we've grown up a bit. It's like, I fell in love with this music when I was this age, and now I'm this age, and here's where we are. And the world has changed as well. And, it's like, hey, nice to re-meet you.
yeah, I mean, millennials, let's just the straight smack dab in the middle millennial audience, going from late 20s to like mid 30s is it's a pretty big jump in life.
Yeah.
It's a big one, man. And I feel like audiences are like, they feel that.
Yeah. But it feels like this like togetherness of like we're all in this together, we're all figuring it out.
Nice. Dude, so, congrats on the project, man. It has to feel really rewarding to know that, this kind of new chapter is about to unfurl itself creatively, musically, and everything like that. How do you feel, how are you feeling about like what you're about to show the world with Helium?
Terrified. Every single time. Um, as terrified, as nervous as I am before I go on stage at every single show. My heart's in it, you know, that that's what it comes down to, and that's why it's like I really, really, really feel special about this album. Um, I, like it was it was a crazy experience making it. Just getting back to just have fun. Just be Gerald. Just
Yeah.
in the purest way, and the most essential way, and lock in and all focus. And I got to work with an incredible producer and and coach in Rodai McDonald, who did the whole album with me. And it was, a rewarding experience in and of itself, just getting to make it. And we did it all in one studio in one city over the course of a few months. And it was the most focused I think I'd ever been in the process of making probably any album.
You made this album in New York, right?
But are we really anywhere?
Are we no, we're not. No, it's
Not anymore.
like
Not anymore.
but
But yes, but yes, I made it in New York, and I wanted pieces of it to reflect my time in New York and my decision to move there.
do you feel like just kind of that captive process though, like what that kind of captive process of kind of mixing it up. I was kind of listening to how you were talking to Steve-O recently, and like I think it's really that process of kind of shaking up your location and finding kind of new roots somewhere. How do you feel like that's like I feel like that's like a really creative can give a lot of creative energy, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's one of the coolest things to get to do. It's like the luxury of
The
the
luxury of
perks of the
displacement.
job.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
And
it's kind of like if you're like a 18th century poet and you can just like run off and, write your poetry away from the world and you don't have to toil, you know. But be in your head all day
Yeah,
with just
or it's like 20s in Paris, like where like Hemingway and Fitzgerald and
yeah.
like there are these like you find your scene, you find your culture, you find your flow, like you find your community and something going on that inspires and electrifies you and gives you something to write about. And I just knew that I had enough of Hollywood.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's like how do you feel like I we started Bro Bible in New York City in the 2009. And one of the things I always say about New York City in that era was the creative energy to it, where all these technologies and art and culture and uh performance are coming together at the same time. It's impossible to capture like what that felt like. Do you feel like there was kind of that same sort of there was like a transcendence or like what was the creative spirit that you felt?
I mean, because you have these moments in time where creatives congregate and there's this like bohemian,
Yeah.
I mean, like movement because they all kind of push and inspire each other and
Mhm.
intimidate each other and inspire and and all this. I like I didn't come here specifically to be a part of that. I came here to just exist.
Really?
If that makes sense. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know if I've ever expressed it like that, but and this may sound crazy, but no, I just wanted to blend in. I just wanted to walk. I just wanted to like be able to go to restaurants, go to bars, like just overhear stories, observe and
Yeah.
just be. And another part of that is also like, like I'd been G-Eazy for, you know, for
Yeah.
so long and it's nice to live somewhere where you get to kind of just be Gerald
You're
and
a face. You get to be a face of the crowd.
and yeah, and that's New York. Nobody gives a shit. Like you're just
No.
anonymous. Like
Yeah.
no one follows you. No one asks you for a picture. Like
Yeah. And at least like the great thing about the social elements of it is everything is very democratized too,
yeah.
in New York, like versus kind of the strata of how LA works. There's still strata in New York, but yeah,
but the other thing is you could find your LA, you could find your New York.
sure.
You know what I mean? Like major metropolitan cities, you could like design your life and you could find your little like, subcultures and communities and all that. But ultimately I just found myself in a cycle in Hollywood where I didn't feel fulfilled. And I was like, I hit a wall where I was like, Gerald, you're only getting older and you don't have kids and you're not married.
Yeah.
And you do have you do uniquely have the resources to make this move. You know, you can. So either shut up and stop bitching and complaining about it to anybody who will listen, or just fucking get on a plane and go. You uniquely are in a position where you could,
Yeah.
and you talked about wanting to be there your whole life. So just go for it. And I went for it. And like at a point, it's also like, I kept thinking like after my first album, like if I go platinum again, or if I go platinum a third time, then I'll finally be able to like do what I want to do. It's never going to come until you just do it for yourself.
Yeah. It's a treadmill. It's a treadmill of
It's so what have you done for me lately?
yeah. Exactly. Well, isn't it kind of liberating to take a huge risk in your
Yeah.
30s?
Yeah. It's
Like,
insanely liberating.
yeah, like,
And I've been happy for the last 2.5 years since I did it.
yeah, like, and like, I think that's like, it's like because you're not really betting on the world, you're betting on yourself, and
Yeah.
like betting on yourself is
I got here in the first place.
yeah, it's so easy to just get comfortable and not like ever make that change, like ever. It's a beautiful thing, man.
How's the weather in LA?
Absolutely perfect. Like
I hate
it-
it. Cold here. I love it.
depressingly perfect. See,
But
you're in that like
also seasons. Like I think there's a requirement requisite of to be an artist is to be a sensitive like emotional person because you have to experience and feel and absorb a whole lot to be able to channel that into the art that
yeah,
you create. Like I I love a sunny day if I have a cold day to like
balance it
appreciate
out.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't love every day being sunny because I don't feel sunny every day.
I always used to like say when I lived in New York, I'd be with my friends in like Bushwick or like Ridgewood or something like that at like a bar, and it'd be like snowing, and we'd leave at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it'd be like 15 degrees out, and that like New York cold is so like humid and like uh it just bites in a very like different kind of way than if you're in the mountains or something like that. And I always used to say, like, this is the cold that keeps us alive, guys. This is like, because it gives you this like edge.
Amazing.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful place. I have to ask though, do you have a pizza spot yet? A preferred go to?
A pizza spot. I mean, I used to live around the corner from Prince Street.
Yeah, the best.
Yeah. I,
Our our office was on Prince and Broadway. So we would go to Ruby Rosa a lot. Like right around there. That was so bomb.
I mean, Lucali, Scars on top.
Scars Scars is amazing.
Yeah.
Scars
Yeah.
is amazing if they don't burn the crust too much. That's
I mean,
like
yeah. Like I said, yeah.
see, I told you I can always find something to complain about.
But it's a beautiful city to be miserable and complain and wear all black and fucking just have an attitude and just,
Exactly.
walk
That's like
around fast with somewhere to go.
exactly. That's perfect. So, um, I wanted to kind of ask you about how some of your, some of the last couple chapters of, everything you've been building have kind of bled into this album, into making this album and your art. Um, is there anything that you really feel, I know the kind of overarching theme is love. Um, and and I'm kind of curious, like, how do you feel like that really got channeled throughout Helium and the project?
But I think, as an artist, if you go through substantial life experiences, like, you know, falling in love or loss
Yeah.
or heartbreak or, you know, moving or, you know, big moments in life that have a big impact on you, emotionally. Um, it, it's it would be a disservice not to write that. It's your like duty.
Yeah.
It's That's kind of what you signed up for, and it's there's parts of it that are the expression of you know the the experiences that I've been through over the last few years. Um, losing my mom, resetting my whole entire life, moving to New York, falling madly in love with somebody, getting my heart fucking broken by a beautiful New Yorker, you know, and writing an album about, that radical experience of the highs and lows of love and life and how rich and exciting it all can ultimately be.
It's the spectrum of it, not necessarily.
Because it's also fun. It's not all
Yeah, right.
like highs
Exactly.
are high. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's not all just it's love and life. It's like to fall in love with things. It's like to experience these joys. It's like it's not just a person. It's like experience. It's like it's all of it.
It's a magical thing about reflection is that, you can get stuck in headspace about one particular aspect of an emotion, but then you realize that they all just kind of are work together on the same chain. So I'm sort of curious. I'm sort of curious. Like, it's been a journey, man, and like there's been a lot of change since like Tumblr Girls came out. Just in music, in the evolution of kind of art in the space. Um, do you feel like when you're crafting right now, do you feel
Nope,
no,
nope.
just go?
I like maybe I'm like a romantic of past times or eras or whatever, but I just don't pay attention to the current I try to write stories that feel like true and real and hope that, I mean music is in such a state of flux and change, like where songs have to be a minute and 30 seconds as opposed to three and a
Yeah.
half minutes. And, the whole way music is consumed or, you know, like marketed or promoted or anything. But ultimately, when I go to like write a story, I just, I try my best to block all that out and I don't know.
Like the industry has this natural way of kind of categorizing artists by discography and like eras because of that. And that's the business of music, but that's not necessarily the art of music. And I
Mm.
think, like, do you think of yourself as someone defined by like chapters are natural, but do you think of yourself as someone defined by chapters?
I mean, I think I was having this thought the other day. So we just finished a leg of tour in Australia, and we done 6 weeks in the States, and then 6 weeks in Europe, and then come to Australia, New Zealand, and finishing up there. And I'm in Sydney, and people all say like, "Oh, Sydney's like the LA, and Melbourne's like the New York." And I'm walking through Sydney, and I'm like, well, like the hills remind me of San Francisco, and there's certain like design things and cultural things that remind me of Tokyo. And yeah, maybe there's certain things like aspects like, like the natural weather that would associate with LA. But why do we need to associate it with any of it? Why can't it just be Sydney?
Yeah, exactly.
But it's natural because we need to contextualize and categorize things to wrap our brains around things that because there's just infinite like content and media and everything in the world that like I can't watch like to commit to a show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's a huge, I need to like watch a trailer and be like, I get it. And have a way of like contextualizing and wrapping around it and being like, all right, that's that, and place it in a like certain box. And it's a human nature, but deep down, Sydney's just actually just Sydney. It's
Yeah.
not LA. It's like, and I'm
It's its
just
own
actually
it's its own
Gerald.
place. Yeah. Yeah. It's its own place. And it's like it's not defined by its like auteur, like it's kind of like in movies. There's nothing more whack when you can tell that like someone's trying to make like Atlanta look like LA, you know? There's like a uncanny valley naturally that like happens
Like
in
like
your
like
brain.
trying to contextualize
Yeah.
and place it with yeah. But I just think there's there's a kaleidoscope of colors in the world, and to embrace uniqueness and individuality and identity is a powerful strong force.
Yeah, dude, I'm kind of curious one one thing that I'm kind of curious about with like your New York experience. I hate to keep coming back to it, but I think it's like a really interesting thing. I'm also saying this because literally today I'm like, I've been talking to my parents are celebrating my dad's birthday in the city, and like they're like going to see like Broadway shows and everything like that. And like I was thinking, man, it's such a rich creative life, like to be able to just dip in and out of like things like that. Have there been any real moments that you've had sort of like that?
Yes, yes. Going to shows at Blue Note, seeing jazz shows,
Dude, Blue Note is the
going to
best.
Comedy Cellar and becoming friends with comics and watching and studying their cadences, how they will like set up a whole set and circle back to the joke they started with and come back with the punchline at the end. And I'm like, all right, how can I apply that to like my set on stage? You know what I mean? And the way they like slow down the pacing of their cadence of speaking. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing.
Who did you see
Yeah.
specifically at Comedy Cellar that like that really
Sam J. Sam J.
nice. That's
She's
awesome.
she's a friend of mine. She's incredible. Like she's already a legend, but like yeah, like she I think we had met before, but like one night I just went to the cellar and she happened to just drop in and just do a set.
Oh my
And
gosh.
you know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing about New York. Like you'll just I saw Dave the other night. He just
Yeah.
dropped
Yeah.
like Dave, like Dave.
Yeah. The Dave.
Like like there's like him, like and like maybe one or two others. You know what I mean? But getting to watch greatness in a different space and appreciate it, and getting to be around it, like I don't know, man. Yeah, it's dope.
Exactly like that energy, I think, is something that creatively a lot of people. I mean, I always feel like I took it for granted when I lived there, because it's just it's around, you know what I mean? And you kind of get in your routines in life and you forget that you need to shake it up like on those things. But completely loved it. I completely love revisiting it again. Um, I think like that's so like great comedy
Yeah,
has the same cadence as great music in a lot of ways. There's rhythm, there's delivery,
yeah,
there's moments, you know?
yeah, yeah. And I can see how like it it applies because when I design like a set list for tour, like you put your big hit, you know, like 7 minutes in to the set, and but you build up towards it, and then you save another hit for like 30 minutes through the set, and then you save the biggest hit for the end, and you start, and then you hit them, and then you break it all down, like
Yeah.
and it's all applicable. And like even in film, like I studied like that kind of like roller coaster arc of all of it.
Do you feel like and you know, you feel exactly, it's a roller coaster and you're giving people an experience. And that's the coolest thing, man.
Yeah, I mean that's I feel the happiest and most content at this point in my career because I think the show that I'm touring is the best show I've ever given, and I pride myself on being a great live performer.
Yeah.
Something happens, like a friend of mine, he plays for Utah Jazz, Jordan Clarkson. He came to the Utah show, and he comes backstage, says what's up to me before I go on stage, and I'm putting my like ear pack on and all that. And he goes, "Gee, you nervous?" I was like, "Yeah, no shit, I'm nervous. I'm nervous for every show." He was like, "Why the fuck you nervous? Like, come on." I was like, me personally, like if I wasn't nervous, I wouldn't be present. I wouldn't be like here. But nonetheless, this is one of the greatest basketball players on the planet and a friend of mine. And the version of Gerald that he knows, and the version of Gerald he saw backstage while he's helping me like snap my pack in with my in-ears and get me right, you know what I mean? And he's like, "You got this." See, I'm like, "No shit, I got this. Watch what I do." And I go on stage, and the second that shit comes on, I become a different person. And he was like, "Fuck, oh my God, I get it."
Yeah. You have to dude, that's amazing. That's kind of wild if he doesn't get nervous, you know what I mean, to perform at the level that he does, you know?
Yeah, I think like we're so like quick to like relate art to sport
Mhm.
because it's obvious. It's like, you know, but I think there is mechanics in performance art, obviously, step for step, and breath control and physicality and all that. And there's art in sport of those moments where when you take that shot or when
Yeah.
but I think they're more different than we try to make them seem.
Well, music isn't always, you know, it's not always adrenaline and it's not always like and it's not always, you know, dopamine. And you know, the
Yeah.
kind of the release of chemicals, if you will, that kind of fuel the highs. Because music is also about like the lows and the quiet and you
Yeah.
know, the moments where and you're so good at that, Gerald, like just the quiet moments, you know?
And it's not always Friday night. It's sometimes Tuesday at 2 p.m.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's a beautiful thing.
When it comes to the show, people want to have fun.
Yeah, of course, you got to hold it down.
Those songs are hard to fit in the set list.
You can't be showing up at the win and doing like you
You're
know.
not trying to do the sad introspective songs like at the set list, but yeah, I came here to drink and like put an outfit on.
Yeah, yeah. Millennials on like bachelor parties and you know bachelorette parties like are not looking for
Like we
you
came
know.
here, no limit. Like fuck with me, get some money, bro. What are you talking about?
Is there, you know, you mentioned touring. Is there you've done a very, very wide scope of venues at this point in time, of rooms now at this point in time. Um, is there a like is there something that you kind of is there a dream location, a dream thing that you really want to play?
I mean, I've done Oracle. I've,
Hometown.
I've done Red Rocks. I want to do Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. The best thing about Madison Square Garden is that how that place bounces.
Yeah,
Uh
and then the like the Phantom of the Garden.
yes.
Guy that plays organ like in the top of the fucking garden.
Yeah, yeah. For
Like he's
like,
literally like what you would imagine him as. Like he's up there like in the top of the fucking arena playing organ.
yep. At the very, very tippy top, he's got like that whole great. Oh
playing
my God.
playing
Yep.
playing Seven Nation Army.
Yeah. Probably like the first time I ever experienced as a concert attendee, the way that that place would bounces like a trampoline. It's
Yeah.
like one of the craziest
Yeah, the
experiences.
first time I went to a Knicks game, I remember what stood out to me was like it's lit like a stage.
Yeah.
Like all the seats like it's dark and then the court is lit and it's literally theater. Like
Yep. It's the biggest Broadway room there is,
yeah,
really.
it's, objectively speaking.
Exactly. Dude, hell yeah. Well, you gotta play it. It's kind of funny because the first time I saw you perform live, Gerald, was 11 years ago, almost 11 years ago now. It was when you played in Crested Butte, Colorado at whatever USA. Um, to this like it was a Bud Light thing. And it was this like little alley and you just like, man, you had everybody so on lock. It was super cool.
In Michigan?
It was in Colorado, actually. It was in September in Colorado, and it was like Charlie XCS was there, and like it was a really tiny little like festival that Bud Light threw, but you were like on lock for it.
Damn. But it wasn't that was 11 years ago?
11 years ago. Yeah.
Damn. And Charlie played that too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it sounds crazy when like I mean, like that I just said Michigan and she said Colorado. And I'm trying to backtrack and think about
Oh
when
wait, actually, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I think it was Catalina. It was on Catalina,
yeah, yeah.
not in Colorado. They did
But
one
but
before
but
that.
in all fairness, it's like, and this happens when, and I do meet and greets before every single show where, 100 fans who
Yeah.
paid early and
Right.
and
Right.
doing talks like and I want to remember every single experience. But think about trying to remember 100 people
Dude, it's impossible.
and then that show would have been probably like 458 shows ago.
Yeah.
And remembering the details that was like maybe for like the person who was there like 8 shows ago.
Well,
But
I
for
think
me
what
it's 458 shows ago.
I think
Like
what yeah, dude, of
and
course.
and 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 but you still like, to make every show like to be present.
Yeah. And I think though that I think the great thing like about about those moments though, to me, like I think, as you were talking about how you've designed out your set to like have these highs and lows, to see you go from something kind of small and intimate with a smaller catalog at the time to now it's really inspiring, um to see the evolution of like, hey, here's like Gerald on this like side, this intimate side experience, if you will. And now, dude, here you are dreaming about Madison Square, what a Madison Square Garden show would look like?
But it's like, I mean, because I've been here, I've been there, I've
Yeah.
been and coming up, I mean, we would play any show we could get. I played shows in garages opening for hardcore bands. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like in Florida. Like, what the fuck? Like, And I opened Warped Tour. I opened for Swayze. I was taking anything I could possibly get just to have a shot at getting in front of people. And you experience that, and then you try to headline and you sell 8 tickets, or then you sell 200 tickets, and then you sell 500 tickets. But if you could win over 8 people,
Yeah.
then when you get in front of 8,000, like the muscle's all there. But but with that being said, I mean that was Bud Light. That was
It
a
was a
club.
good pay. It was a good paycheck.
And Charlie was
Dude.
shout out
Um,
Charlie.
Awesome. Well, so I'm kind of curious, you obviously have this huge, you're about to have this huge moment with Helium. Um, you're about to take it on the road too, with, more time out there with everyone. What, what do you see? What do you see in the future after that? Or is it more a get through it?
Um, I see you right back in the studio, because when that window opens of spark, of creativity, of inspiration, um, when the joy comes back, when it's electric, when it's there, and that's how I feel right now. Like I'm excited to write raps. I'm excited to write songs. And that doesn't always feel that way, because at the same time, like, this is a job, you know, like a lot of people on the planet, like, clock in and clock out and go to a job,
Hmm.
and I treat it with respect as such. And every day is not just going to be the most fun, just, you know,
Yeah.
Las Vegas party, whatever. Like, no,
Making
it's
making
work.
things is
Also, it's work.
making
But
things is hard. It's not
yeah.
easy.
And it's harder when you're going against the grain, and you're kind of like, I don't feel inspired, but I have a schedule of getting an album done, or I have these sessions booked with these producers who only have these days open, and fuck how I'm feeling. Fuck that my girlfriend just like, just like stormed out crying, like, what I mean, just big
Mhm.
ass fight, blah blah blah. No, that's the only day you can work with this producer, and they only have these hours open, and you have to go there and make a song.
Yeah. Chin
Like,
up and do it.
yeah, and you do it, and like, or like whatever the fuck you're going through, or like, or regardless, maybe you just every day you just don't feel like it, you
Mhm.
know, like, be rally it, but it's so much better when you really do feel it and you're in the flow.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been feeling lately. Like, the fun has come back, the inspiration has come back, the essence of what it all, boils down to is there. And remembering those pieces, and those, like, just, wow, this reminds me of that feeling of when I was, you know, that's those sparks are just so precious. So
Yeah.
I just want to keep creating and keep putting music out.
That's awesome, man. Well, Gerald, I can't thank you enough for your time. This was excellent. It was great to chat. Looking forward to putting this together. And super stoked for you on getting Helium out to the world, man.
Yeah, bro. Thank you.